Hello, welcome back to another day of Leadership is a Verb. Being a leader is not by going around doing something better than someone else. Being a leader is taking accountability for your actions. And guess what? Today's day, day 6, is be accountable. Do you and do it well. Because when you do you and not someone else, you can change your life by not doing what other people do. So today we're gonna be starting off in day 6 of be accountable. Do you and do it well. Being accountable means taking stock or a senses of your abilities, your areas of growth, adjusting accordingly. This means you have to be somewhat self-aware and do an honest assessment on yourself. What this means is take a few steps back and look at what is wrong in your life. How can you be accountable for your actions? And how can you change what you are doing today? If you haven't already, a good start for this self-assessment is any one of the leadership models that tells you your letters or color. Are you a blue, green, or an orange yellow? Are you INTJ or EFNP? If you are still lost, I'm talking about the true colors or Myers-Briggs assessments that are popular on campuses and in corporations. You will undoubtedly participate in one of these great assessments. But whatever you do, don't live by the results. Because that does not define who you are and what you are capable of. If you want to learn more of who you can be and what you can be, listen carefully to what I have to say. If you have been in a formal leadership role before, you can look at that experience and determine what you did well and what you need to improve. You just have to be honest with yourself. Don't think what others have to say. Think what you can do, think what you can be, and do whatever it is that you're missing in your life. Because if you want improvement, if you want to have a better chance of being a great leader, you have to stop looking at what other people are doing and look at what you're doing. What do you have to improve? What do you have to fix? Because if you don't fix yourself, if you don't fix your life, nothing's going to change. If you were always late to the meeting, even when you told yourself the meeting started at 7:30, okay? Just so you could show up at 8, you might want to take a look at that. That was me. I was that guy. Great vision. Good ideas. But start without him. He would not be on time. In order to grow and develop, I had to take a personal assessment. At first glance, I thought my issue was punctuality. But it wasn't punctuality, right? It was that I thought that it was something else, but it was something different entirely. If you want change, if you want to be a leader, you have to show up on time, you have to put in the work, and you have to change what is wrong in your life. Because you can't change what the life you can have. Because when you put that in the center of your life, change can make a difference in your life. With some deeper thought and input from people I trusted, I realized it wasn't necessarily a punctuality issue, but an issue with overcommitment. I had a hard time saying no. and a horrible sense of how long things actually took. What helped me tremendously was setting a quota on how many projects or organizations I would participate in, and intentionally spacing my meetings at least 45 minutes apart whenever possible. If you know you're not going to make it on time, reschedule, or just put a time that works best for you apart whenever possible. This allowed me to be my engaged, sometimes long-winded self a little easier. It also set the expectation for the meeting in the very beginning by saying things like, I have another meeting at 7, so we have to be wrapped up by 6:15 or 6:30 at the latest. This allowed everyone to be on the same page. If you want change, if you want difference, if you want something that can be something new and something on pace with your schedule and with your life and with everything going on throughout your week or your day, let me just tell you this. Find a place that you feel comfortable doing, because you are not alone no more. I was a charismatic leader, and that allowed me to be persuasive and get by and from the group. But my growth happened when I held myself accountable to make sure my character matched my charisma, and that my leadership and that most interesting thing about me holding myself with and for, whether we admit it or not, we need to keep ourselves accountable for the actions that we make. It can be good, it can be bad, but we need to take accountability for the actions that put others in the flow of our work. My leadership was based on content, not just flash. Accountable was the response of the people I worked with and for. Whether we admit it or not, taking on a formal leadership role means volunteering to be watched and scrutinized. Once I began to consistently take account for my abilities, I became a better leader and a better member. When I began to set and live up to a personal standard of excellence, it began to pour over into a culture of excellence in the organizations I worked in. You don't have to try to do something that someone else does. You just have to be accountable for your own actions and for your own self, and for the person that you want to be, for your family, for your friends, and for your community. Great leaders are accountable for themselves as well as those around them. One of the biggest issues in organizational or group dynamics is accountability. My friend, if you want to be recognized, if you want to be appreciated, be accountable for your actions and stand up for what's right and not what's wrong. That dynamic is evident, even more so in student organizations, because in large part, the activities rely on volunteers. Most of us can relate to someone dropping the ball on an assignment that they volunteered to do. I mean, you don't have to lie to kick it, Greg. Right? Sometimes, if you're in college, or if you're in high school, or if you're in any educational statement, and you come to school, you say, hey, John, could you help me with my work? But John says yes. But when you hand him your work and walk away, you're putting all your stuff and all your burdens on him. and takes away from the accountability that you do. Because when he does it and every question is right, you have to show accountability for yourself. I do not recommend you going and trying to tell someone, hey man, we've been friends for so long. Can you do my work for me? I don't know how to do this. Don't do it for them. Teach them. Study with them. But my friend, I do not recommend you do it for them because they are not accountable for their own actions. If they come up to you and say, hey man, I'm sorry, but the test is tomorrow and I didn't study. Can you do this for me? No. You cannot do it for them. They did not learn that way. They did not get the responsibility that they have. They did not get an easy route. If they didn't do it, they weren't accountable. They didn't have the time, but they did. They hung out at a friend's house, or they said, oh, I want to go and hang out at boyfriend's or girlfriend's house. But that is not what this is about. It's about being accountable for your own actions. And if you're hitting a deadline, and you have to be there, and you have to be at school at a certain time, or class at a certain time if you're in college, that is not the way to go. Don't have someone do it for you. Be accountable for your own actions and get it done. And be presentable to your friends, your teachers, and your spouses and family. If you knew you didn't have time to do it, you shouldn't have volunteered. But most of the time, the ball is not dropped out of malice. People don't want to fail, but just like I had a problem saying no to helping out in various organizations, some people have a hard time admitting a task is beyond their scope of time, ability, or desire. Students are busy, and if they haven't mastered how to identify and overcome time killers, time slips away all too often, and the things they truly prioritize take away the percentage, and that's not likely to be an organization or a commitment report. When you take on or assign a task that is totally outside of someone's wheelhouse, you're not taking account for their abilities and might be projecting your skills onto them. Most people would try to do a task even if it's out of their skill set or reach, but without the proper support, even the best intentions fall short of expectations. And the worst possible thing to do as a leader is to put someone in a position or role they really don't want to or aren't equipped to accept. We must put people in a position to succeed. They might take one for the team as long as it doesn't require any true commitment or grit. As soon as the task becomes a challenge, it will go to the back of the priority list. Why? Because they didn't want to do that mess in the first place. They didn't want to take on the challenge. They didn't want to put their accountability first and their priority first. They wanted someone else to do it. They wanted someone else to be the one to get it done for them. It's not easy, my friend, and it won't be easy for you either. Be accountable for your actions. Make sure my character matched my charisma, and my leadership was based on content, not just flash. To stop this foolishness, we must first address the culture of our organizations, and then we have to change the way we build teams. To address the culture, we have to understand there are two types of leadership: authoritative or collaborative. Authoritative leadership creates a culture where ideas and responsibility mostly flow from the top down. If you tend to come up with the idea and then assign folks tasks to make your vision a reality, you might be an authoritative leader. Collaborative leadership creates a culture where the flow of ideas and responsibility is a two-way, multi-lane highway. The vision for an event is formed through a cooperative discussion, and the responsibility for its implementation is assigned based off ability and availability. We have to create an inclusive culture where, when at all possible, we lead through collaborative efforts instead of authoritative ones. Don't boss people around. Work together, collaborate ideas, share ideas, but don't boss people around. Don't be an authoritative leader. Don't push people out of your friend zone just because you don't want their ideas. Collaborative efforts instead of authoritative ones. When everyone has contributed to the culture and feel valued, they are more likely to lend their abilities and talents to fulfilling the vision. You also have to set expectations of excellence and then provide people with the tools to reach that expectation. For that, you have to start building better teams. You have to start building a better group of friends, and you have to start being accountable for the actions that you possess into this world that you are living in, and not the ones that they want over what you want. Once you have established a culture of collaboration, it's easier for people in your organization to see the value they bring to projects, and in turn, more likely that they would be more engaged in fulfilling their responsibilities to the project. It also helps to assemble teams with the end in mind. When at all possible, put people in a position to succeed and not fail. By giving responsibilities that align with their skill set or the support to help them develop an area of opportunity. In other words, don't pookie from New Jack City, your people who thought it was a good idea to put a crackhead undercover in a crack house. Accountability, both personal and organizational, is about believing in the purpose and the person. When we see the value of what we do, it's much easier to hold ourselves accountable to do it. When I was in 7th grade, the question was, are you a collaborative leader or an authoritative leader? What are some examples where both can be beneficial? How will you work on strengthening both of these leadership styles? I said to show that it is hard. That it's not easy to be accountable for yourself. Because if you're accountable, it might mess up a relationship or show that you are not trustworthy. Yes, it's hard, but you can get through it. I did. And then the second question, how can you learn more about your team or organization so that you can put people in a position to succeed and not fail? I said, to tell them that it takes time and effort to succeed at something. It does not come easy. And it doesn't. You don't get something easy. You don't go to a store and say, hey man, can I have this? But I want that. It's not easy, my friend. It won't be easy for you or anyone else before you or after you. Because life is not easy, and this world is not easy. Think about that for a minute. We were put into a world of chaos and raiment. This world was a place for us and the creations before us to share this land, to share this world with everyone in it. Humans are the most beautiful creation that God ever created. But we don't show it and we don't act like it. We need to stand up. We need to be better, and we need to get on our knees and pray and ask God, I need you, Lord. I need you, Lord. I need you to take this burden off my shoulders. I need you to take this sin out of me and let me be free and let me follow you, Lord. I need you, Lord. Oh, I need you. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, wherever you might be watching, and hopefully, God willing, I'll be back for day 7. Thank you, and have a great day. God bless.